what I'm intending to do is use a piece of 58mm outside diameter steel scaffold pipe. Now this scaffold pipe has a wall thickness of approximately 3.5mm steel, which is fairly robust. It has to be fairly strong for the purpose it's used for. Now I'm intending to mount these units, the suspension units, in approximately these positions here. Now they are, I can't think of the dimensions at the moment. I will put a picture up of what I'm intending later on. That's our centre point there, and basically these are spaced 93 centimetres apart, or maybe a little bit under, approximately 90 centimetres apart. I'll show you the reasons why. Now what I'm intending to do with the suspension unit part is that's going to have another piece of scaffold pipe, or possibly a piece of box section steel mounted across between the 2 points on that, and that is what's going to support all the load of the gun. The gun shield, gun and the trails are all going to be supported on the loading member which runs across between these two suspension units. Now I'm trying to duplicate to a degree what the German 37mm pack gun had. It's not quite the same, but I do feel suspension is required. Okay, I've got a thread running on the UK World War II Airsoft website, Comrades in Arms. Now on here, on this thread, I'm basically going through a number of decisions which I'm having to make while I make this gun. I'm sourcing parts and deciding how individual components can be produced. Now here is a real 37mm anti-tank gun, and there are a number of pictures of these guns on the internet, and you can see they've got traverse wheels and elevation wheels. These two particular wheels or components seem to be interchangeable, but I'll go into that later on. At the moment I'm looking at suspension. Now here you can't see it very clearly, but this pipe here with this small piece of shield plating on is the load bearing member. You can see that the two trails are mounted to the load member, as is the shield and the main gun. You'll notice this shield is separate from the lower sections of shield. The reason for that is the gun actually traverses at the midpoint, so the whole shield rotates left and right. Here is a picture of the 37mm German pack gun. Now you'll see here, this is the center point of the wheel, so that is the axle running there, and here appears to be a suspension unit of a similar nature to what I'm using. Now you'll see what appears to be the arm on the suspension coming from the unit mounted at the side and travelling back towards the centre of the axle. So I believe that this actual wheel rises and falls away from this centre point of that axle there. I don't know 100% what is going on in this picture. I presume that these devices are some form of adjustment. Maybe they are for locking the suspension or various components when you actually, maybe there's a form of brake. There seems to be one up at the tail here on the suspension arm, and one running into the centre of the axle. As I say, I'm not 100% sure what is going on in this picture. There are some more pictures on the web. This is from the Littlefield collection. That's the same picture there. But if we move on another picture, let's see. No, that's no more detail. Yeah, there's another picture of it, but it's not giving us any more of a clue what's happening in this. Okay, here's a slightly out of focus photo from the rear of the gun showing this suspension unit, which seems to be mounted. It's got two pieces of steel formed around it, which are then taken over to the load-bearing member of the gun, and then welded to it there. As I say, the picture's a little bit out of focus, so you can't really see what's going on clearly in this. But basically that's about the best I can find at the moment. If you look at this picture here, there are some other pictures around on the web, but this will do the job. If you look at this, that is the what I will call the pipe axle, and the centres of that run straight through the wheels, and there are no suspension units on the ends of this pipe axle. In fact, there are no suspension units at all on this gun from what I can see. I have been told by a guy who built a replica, a German field gun, that when the Americans copied it, they left the suspension out. So when you see video of these things being towed behind jeeps, they're quite often flying in the air. Not the best picture of it, because the jeep's flying in the air as well, but they're not the smoothest of rides, so I believe. There, we're back to that other photo now. You can see when the trails here are splayed out, a pin is dropped through these 2 points here and locks the arms open. So I'll get back to the suspension later on, but for now I'm going to show you a little bit of work I've been doing on the shield plating. I've been back down to my scrap metal man, and he's sold me this nice big sheet of galvanized steel, which is 1/4 inch plate. Now you can see from this it's much more rigid. Not as rigid as a real one would be, don't get me wrong, but 1/4 inch plate, it looks a hell of a lot more decent than 3mm. So that's what I'm going to use. So it's going to take a little bit of work chopping this up. First of all, from what I can work out on my photographs off the internet, and scaling the dimensions, it appears to be 110 centimeters width on the plate. Now, unfortunately, my printer has just about had it at the moment, and look at that, it's printing everything out in pink. Wonderful. I suppose we could call that desert camouflage, eh? No, but it's just about readable. Just about. Different shades of pink. Yeah, so 110 the width, so I'm basically trying to work out what sort of shape I should go for cutting the first cut out on this, whether to go for just cutting a big rectangle out and then chipping out the various other bits of shaping, or whether to go for cutting the real shape of it out. If you look at a picture of a real one, you'll see what I mean. Let's see. At this point down here, the metal actually is cut on an angle, sweeping upwards, and it's the same on both sides. Now this enables the actual gun and the shield to rotate together, I would think, and it leaves these two lower plates here, which are mounted on the main cross beam, which is being connected over from the suspension. So on the lower bearing beam, these are fixed, and the gun and the top section of the shield rotates. Now, question is should I really go to the trouble of trying to make the gun actually swing left to right, because it's not actually going to fire anything, so no projectiles are going to come out of this. So am I going to too much trouble, or should I just make it one big rectangular sheet of metal and weld it down? That's a good question. Now this lower plate here, that is actually mounted and swivels. It's mounted on the beam axle that runs across, and it has little clips like a U-shape clip which swings down and hooks into some little loops of steel on this plate. So basically, when you're towing the gun, this is in the upright forward position up here on that plane, but when you're actually using it, it creates a shield for the gunners, so it's dropped down, stop any bullets shooting you in the knees, I suppose, and so on, and the feet. So it gives you some cover. There again, you've got on some photos you'll see it looks like this little item here looks like it's normally up here when it's in transport mode, and it looks like some weird sort of little wheel arch. Well, they're not wheel arches, they actually swing down here, and I think when you actually operate them properly, they lift the wheels off the floor, so the gun won't roll backwards. Instead, the actual gun recoils in its mounting. It's got a suppressed mounting on there for the gun to recoil on. Yeah, so anyway, back to this. I'm going to have a little bit of a think about this before I do any chopping of this steel.